Hi and welcome to Game Creation, and in today's video we're going to be creating some food for the snake to eat. So without further ado, let's get going. So at the moment we've got our full player control, which is cool, but we haven't got much of a game. So I'm going to cheat a little bit here and create a separate tile. So I'm going to clone. Careful not to duplicate, because if you duplicate, what happens is you create exactly the same object. So if you have a look, they're both called active, and so if you change the size of one, the other will change, and they're exactly the same as each other. Clone means you create a twin brother or a twin sister, which is identical, but not identical. They have their own personalities. So you can see it's now called active 3. It's not called active anymore, which is important because we want to change the color of it. Perhaps let's change it to a red, and it won't change the color of the first one. If you duplicate, it will. Okay, now what we're going to do is something a little bit sort of clever, maybe, depends if it works. And we're going to have a create food kind of group, and all we're going to say is if, and we're going to do some counting here, count have all active 3s been destroyed, or compared to the number of active 3 objects. I don't know why, but I prefer this one. So if the amount of them is equal to 0, so if none of them exist, then we want to create one. Now there's a problem here because we already have one by default here, so we just make sure this isn't actually created at the start. Simple as that. So at the start this isn't created. We don't really want this to be created either, or do we? No, I don't think we do. Okay. I don't think it matters with the player one, but the red one it does. So if the number of food items equals 0, then we want to maybe do a fast loop. Why not? So create food, and this is just going to be our loop of 1. I'm just going to drag that loop a bit quicker, paste it in. Okay, so on this loop we want to generate a new piece of food, and the way we're going to do that is using some data. So I click on my data one, and we're going to have food X and food Y, and those are going to be some random coordinates for our food to be created. So we're going to set those, and I've got to remember the numbers. It's 20 and, where is it, 20 and 12, isn't it? So food X can be any number between 0 and is it 19, isn't it? So let's get a random range between 0 and 19. I don't actually need a range for this. I could just click random. I just think it's more succinct to exactly see what it is that the random number will be between. And we're going to set the other one, food Y, and this is going to be, I think it's 12, isn't it? Yeah, and it's 11 because there's 12 numbers between 0 and 11. Okay, kind of makes sense. Okay, so now we've got a hopeful candidate for where the food's going to be, and on that same loop we're going to insert a condition for the array, and we're going to look into that array position, and we're going to see what it is. So values, and it's going to be the food X. Copy that, paste that in there, and we're going to look at the food Y, and we're just going to see that it equals 0. If it equals 0, everything's great. Okay, simple as that. So if it equals 0, everything's fantastic, and we want to create, because there won't be any, because we're checking to see if there's none, and create that. We'll put it up here somewhere because we need to reposition it to those 2 coordinates. So position, select text position, and don't forget we've got 25 pixel tiles, and we'll do the same thing but for the Y position. Cool. Now what will happen is this loop will finish. If that has not worked, so that hasn't fired because the player is currently at that position, it will then go back to this one and then go, oh, hang on, there's still 0, so I'm going to start it again. Now what I could do is I could make that a bit more obvious, keep it within the same loop, and say if it's different to 0, and what you can do is call the loop within the loop. Now, I've explained this last week with JavaScript. That's not a good idea, potentially, because if say the whole screen is covered with the snake, somehow they've managed to do it, then that loop will go on forever and actually crash your machine. So we could put in some fail-safes in that, and for instance have a counter, and if the counter gets to 100 then it stops doing it, but I'm not too worried at the moment. We'll maybe fix that later on. And so you can see the food's randomly appeared, and so if I keep restarting it will randomly appear. And so if I don't know what happens when I eat it with this, so I programmed it slightly differently, so let's see what happens if I eat it. Nothing. Nothing happens when I eat it, which is fine, because we'll worry about that in tomorrow's video. So please keep the comments coming in if you've got suggestions of things you want me to do next week. I have currently no plans, so please keep your suggestions coming in. I think quite a few of my videos have been suggestions from you guys, so definitely keep them coming in the comments below. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you want to see more from us, please click subscribe. We release videos every single weekday at 7 PM UK time. Thank you.